Hey, welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is still spinning on the ones and twos. Fam, why are you laughing, man? Let me share this with my mom, first of all. Mom, we got a great guest on today. You got to watch this. Why are you laughing, fam?
Because you're so over the top. It's just funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Fiorella got our latte today, so we're ready to rock and roll. I'm here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining on in. Please go over, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things you know how to do. They sometimes aren't putting the bell out. Some people were telling me we want to get this up. Also, if you haven't joined our Rokfin, Rokfin, very important. You can go over there and join up for free. And if you have a few extra bucks, you can give us $9.99 a month, and you'll get all our premium content and everybody else's premium content across the board on the network. It's got a lot of great independent media. It's got a lot of great MMA stuff. It's getting some comedians going. So come on in and join in the Rokfin fun. And you can also join in fiscally if you want to as well. Get a little Ethereum, transfer it to Ray, watch us grow, and you grow with us. How about that? Sound good?
Sounds great, fam.
Fam, should I stop with the monologue and just get to the get to the show? What's going on?
So you guys,
here?
We're gonna introduce our guest in a second, but we we're one of the few outlets on the left, even on the independent media left, covering the elections, despite all the heat we are taking, despite the calls that we are wrong and that we're helping Trump and all this other crap about conspiracy theories, because our election coverage didn't start with the general with Trump versus Biden, nor will it end with it, because we don't have democracy in this country, and our elections are not fair, nor are they transparent in any way, shape, or form, and that won't end with this. I don't believe it'll end with this whole debacle, because there are just so many forces that against us, and if we still have to convince people that this is happening, that is still the first step, is admitting that we have a problem.
Johnny, how many people we got in? It looks like they're coming in slow today. Yeah, something's going on, guys. Like, share, hit the subscribe button. Usually by this time, we have well over 100, and we're heading our way up. It's moving up slowly. So just once again, do us a favor. Hit the like and share button, because there seem to be, even our subscribers moved up very slow from the last month, yet last night. So I'm suspecting that they're throttling us again, putting the hose down. Share, like, hit that thumbs up. So let's talk about this. Let's just jump right into this, and hopefully the people will come. Over on the Rokfin, we got 80 people, Tony Umonic. So since we are the election integrity channel, fam, on the left, or wherever independent media and people aren't talking about this, we started this a while ago. We continue to do this and move forward. As new information comes to light and people start learning about the community and the people who actually present solutions, we're going to go out there, grab them, and put them on the show. This particular guest I like is one of my favorites because I believe he's the bridge to it all. And his name is Bennie Smith. And if you're asking who Bennie Smith is, he's more than just a financial analytics manager who's on the Elections Commission of Memphis, Tennessee. Bennie Smith understands and knows code, software. He's been writing for years. But in our world of election transparency, he's most known for his work with who we call the GOAT, Bev Harris, the greatest of all times. And Bev Harris is a big name. And for all those newcomers that are in here right now, all the Trump fans that are talking about hammer and scorecard, we actually call it something different. And we were taught this years ago from Ben Magic. Check it out.
I found something that it reeked when I first found it. But then the intrigue made me say, well, why is it there? Votes being counted as money. 16,034 votes and 0.3.
Oh, wait a minute.
You can divide up.
So the master computer can divide whole votes up into fractions, and we'll see what that can do to an election.
This thing becomes God to determine who the sheriff will always be, who the district attorney will always be, who the mayor will always be. Contract signing authority belongs to whoever I decide the winner is going to be.
There's a lot of assumptions being made by the public, and when you actually go out in the field and try to authenticate each step, it's very surprising, really.
I'm tired of her camera being on me. I don't want her near me, okay? Nor this lady. In other words, we're not able to give them what they want at all. Hey, hey, hey.
Watch what happens if you cap a candidate's results at 43% or any percent.
Do 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 do. A do 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 do.
And now imagine if the default setting is to hide the decimals. Right now, the GEMS program is installed and counting votes in 25 states and 616 jurisdictions. But fractional counting began to migrate from the GEMS program into other vendors. Voting systems which count votes as fractions may count as many as 99% of all American votes in 2016.
We have these systems that are just simply not operating in a way that's accountable to the public.
When we asked, why couldn't we get to the central tabulator, the intimidation that occurred there, if you ask another question, you're going to jail.
My name is John Brakey. I'm an election integrity activist out of Tucson, Arizona.
All right. So, Benny, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
So, setting aside the Trump and Biden situation for a second, is there an actual issue with the framework of our elections as far as the tabulation is concerned? And can you give us a little bit of insight on your thoughts about how these elections are run?
Yeah, they, I was approached by some candidates back in 2014 who said that their elections had been stolen. I really didn't believe them. I was kind of like, suck it up, you lost. But being a software developer, I gave them a consolation prize. I write code, so I looked at it. I found some really disturbing stuff in the software. The way they count us like money. It's such a bad idea. And I say it all the time. The part that really alarmed me is that it's a feature. It's not a bug. Mm-hmm. It's actually in there by design. It's a framework, and it's a really disturbing piece of framework to be inside of an electoral system.
Well, let's then jump back into the Biden-Trump thing. You understand the framework. You understand the way things work. I've seen you on a show with Dr. Shiva talking about the patterns. Do you think there's any legitimacy to the claims from Donald Trump that these elections were stolen, in fact? And should we look into it more?
Yeah, I think at the very least, he doesn't know that he lost. So even if you think Trump is crazy, which he's not, it is not unfair for him to pursue an authenticatable result. And if he is not afforded the opportunity to be given proof that he's lost, I always say it, you got 70-something million people who are going to want evidence that he lost in the same way that Biden would have had his supporters wanting evidence that he lost. So it's barely germane to if the Democrats candidate would have lost, they would have wanted the same thing.
Right. I mean, we can remember Russiagate and how that played its part as well. So how important?
They heckled him for 4 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. 4 years. And so we didn't hear the end of it then. But how important is or are pattern analysts for obtaining the election integrity, the actual framework for election integrity? And do you think that some of these findings, like Dr. Shiva's Michigan tabulation irregularities, are helpful to proving election fraud?
Absolutely. This is integral, right? Ever since I wrote, when I developed Fraction Magic, it took a lot of time for it to land for most people. A lot of people just didn't get the significance of it. A lot of people are still landing for a lot of people. The analysis that you see is Phil Evans. And I've been working with Phil for about 2 years. And he's a real pattern guy. He's really looked for those patterns. So I connected with him and being the person that has written the Fraction Magic program to know how it works, we've been kind of doing little war games where we're literally trying to see if we're pattern chasing, right? We're trying to see if this weighted election feature has a signature. Very much the way a diamond does. Like you can go into a jewelry shop, they put this little thing on there, says, nope, it's fake, right? So we've been trying to chase that signature. And I think there's so many people that are not technical, but they're activists because they care about the country. But we need just a few more technical people that's got some skills and some skin in the game to look at it too.
Have you ever seen a case of them using this in the court of law or any type of court case as far as bringing in these people like Dr. Shiva to show these pattern analysis? Because it seems that the Democrats are okay with the science or the math, when they want to call elections for Joe Biden in the primary against Bernie Sanders at 54% and say, oh, look at the pattern. There's no way Bernie can catch up. But in this last general, it was like, let's let it go to 99%, and then we have time to make the flip, make the switch, what goes on. I mean, has there been a situation where they can use this in a court of law?
I don't think they have with patterns. I do think they have with having technical experts to look at the framework and the security, and they go after the USB ports, which all of that is valid information. But the way I describe it is like fraction magic. Everybody is talking about they can get inside, Russia, right? What do you do when you get in there? Yeah. Nobody's really thought about what you do when you get inside. And fraction magic is the payload, right? That's actually what you do when you get inside. So nobody's ever been able to get past that because it's a literal black box. It's a black box where you hide behind these two P words that fight with each other. And that's public dollars paying for proprietary software. Yeah. So every time you want to look at it, they tell you that it's proprietary, right? Well, how can I spend public dollars and not get access to what I pay for because you tell me it's proprietary? So that's usually the hurdle when they get inside the court. But to your point, it is remarkable that these graphs are really, like when Shiva did his graph, we didn't tell the whole story. We basically, gave the abnormal state, and people was like, yeah, he presented something good, but the graph was off. It's a line. And I was like, we just told you that you get counted as cents on the dollar. And your first question was his shoes tied? You literally didn't realize that I was telling you I could count you as 0.6 or 0.1 or 0.2. What is a weighted election was what we thought was the response was going to be. But you had a number of math people that they wanted to take a dig. So they were wrong, but they got their dig in.
So now the Trumpers and the Trump people are referring to a form of fraction magic as hammer and scorecard. Have these algorithms been found in other tabulation machines?
I'm hurt. I never heard of this. I'm hurt. Look,
CIA stole your stuff, Benny.
They came out, hammer, scorecard. Montgomery, Dennis Montgomery. He had the author has a name. I was like, I was out here on the island for 4 years taking all kind of arrows. It was remarkable. But see, I do think the framework is in all of the systems. So there could be another program that does it. I contend that mine is a better one. But it's good to see that people are coming online. Again, it was taboo in 2014, 2015. The 2016 election, there's no way you could rig election. Then Trump won. It was Russia. I guess Russia took the night off.
That's what I'm going to say. Russia took the night off on election night this time.
Yeah, they ain't get enough burgers or something. Or had too much beer and went to sleep.
Benny, so we just asked about the tabulation machines. We talking about, I just want to stay concentrated because a lot of people are saying Dominion. We had that video we sent you with the ES&S machine we cracked down. You guys were looking at the GEM system. Now you got HART. So all these algorithms can be found, or a type of algorithm, a fraction magic or hammer and scorecard. Will open source be an immediate fix for this, or will there still be a chance for people to go around the open source system and fix the number counting?
Open source is a much needed shot in the arm, but most of this is procedural, right? You have to have a way to secure the ballots. It's not improper to say that there are problems with the voter registration rolls. It's not improper to say that you can cheat using paper ballots from the mail-in process because you don't have any way of tracking who that voter was. Like some places you can just send it out willy-nilly. Most places you have to request it. So there needs to be some procedures around it, and open source code will help facilitate the blocking of a weighted election. But if you just took the feature out of the systems, most of the approximations that are needed to do something like this, again, it's a general ledger. We are making journal entries. If you think about a financial program, it's like moving money around. It's white collar crime, and these machines, they facilitate it. So that's really the first piece is if you could take it out, you would make it much harder because if you just think about basic rounding, right? If I say that you're going to get 50% of a precinct pasta and you get it 1.5 and then I get 1.5, well, that's 4 votes because 1.5 rounds up to 2 and the other one rounds up to 2. So you end up with, and this is what we hear, more votes than voters. Yeah. So that is a problem. That is an indication of something wrong with the accounting. And that's when you need to look further. So open source will have us we'll have the ability to know that is not there because we can look at the source code.
So there were a couple of glitches, and I quote glitches, on election night.
Glitches.
So can you give us your opinion on what you think these glitches were?
Look, there is no such thing as a glitch.
Oh, say that again.
There is no such thing as a glitch.
You hear
Computers
that, audience?
do what they are told to do. They do what they are told to do. The best example I can give is if you just imagine R is Republican, D is Democrat. Now go to your car. R is reverse and D is drive. When has any car ever mistook had those functions incorrect? It doesn't happen. Somebody's better really beef up their errors and omissions policy. I got to carry 1 million for the software that I developed. They need to have theirs at like 3 or 400 million. And that's just it's not possible. And if it was a glitch, it would have kept on glitching. It would have did it the same time over and over again. Compiled code does not change its mind. And if it does, we call that AI.
Right.
Yeah.
And this ain't AI.
I don't know if I could get a shirt that says #glitch this or keep on glitching, because we got to get a shirt with this glitch, because everybody talks about this glitch and we're like,
nah, man,
we're not even software engineers, and we're like, guys, it's not a glitch.
No.
It's the system doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it was programmed to cheat.
Yeah, and if it did glitch, then go to the audit log, because the audit log is my daughter telling mommy everything that happened when I was gone. So the audit log would have said, the audit log would have put it in there that something was wrong.
Yeah, that's great insight. Now listen, you're a software guy, an analytics guy of sorts too. But I love when we had a talk the other day, and you talked really about democracy here, because you said you're not doing this because you're doing it to protect the Democrats or doing it to protect the Republicans. You're doing it to save the Republic.
Right, yeah.
And something that you said to me, I had one of those moments where I had to sit down and I was like, wow, Benny, that's so great. You said it's just not only important for the winners to know who he is, but it's also important for us to know who the loser is, the real loser is. Can you give us a little insight to why and what the loser has to do once he loses?
Look, the whole purpose of process improvement, continuous improvement, is you do a postmortem. Figure out what happened, what you did wrong, what you did right, you improve, and you go back at it. So if you are not the actual loser, then you don't have anything you can correct. It is a problem for democracy when the loser can't do a postmortem. If he can't do a postmortem, he can't correct it, and then he can't go and retool. If he goes back and retools, he can change his messaging. Well, if I want to get more Black people, I got to care about this issue. I got to actually take what they care about. So if nobody's retooling, and they're not coming back to offer a better product, but they say when banks compete, you win. They're never going to compete, so I'm never going to get a better product. So it hurts me down the line when the real loser doesn't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so great. Like, you got to go back to the people, and if we don't know who the real loser is,
it's an autopsy, basically.
Yeah.
You need to know
Exactly.
how they died.
We lose.
They should come back and give us a better solution. Because we obviously rejected them, or did we? But if we did reject them, they do a postmortem, they come back and they try again, they compete, right? And that drain one's capacity to compete if you can't know if you won. They spend all this money and you can't even tell me that the guy beat me? It's a problem.
And Jonny, did you have a question? No.
All right.
I had a quick, because a lot of people are retorting with these investigations, right? That the government is investigating these claims, and they're putting them as all conspiracy theory, that this is just completely fabricated. What do you say when people say, well, there's been investigations and they found zero correlation of any kind of indication of any fraud? So what do you say to those people?
Where do they look?
Exactly.
Like for Michigan, like the reason why Dr. Shiva, me, and Phil targeted Michigan, because they admitted that they had this glitch where the glitch literally said votes were you can't make this up. Votes were changed from Biden to Trump. Now, it could have been Trump to Biden. I don't really care. I don't care who wins as long as the people elected him. And that's what integrity is. So when they said that, I was like, well, that can't happen. And somebody explained it away, then said it was a glitch. And I said, no, that's just not possible. So if they didn't find out why that happened, then they didn't investigate.
Yeah. I think we have news out of Michigan that today they're refusing, one of the counties is refusing to certify because of everything went on. And I was like, well, I guess Bennie Smith and Dr. Shiva's work with Phil is getting through to them, because that's supposed to be, I haven't heard, I have to look into it a little bit more. But I heard that's the breaking news, what's going on in Michigan. Jonny, did you have anything else?
Yes. Hey, Benny, it's Jonny, live stream engineer here and journalist on the ground. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Great. My question is, the software that you're really primarily looking at and dealing with, is it from the tally systems?
Yeah. So our every election software has a couple of components, right? You have your device where people vote on. That should just be gone. It should be a hand marked paper ballot, right? Just period. That should be gone. Then you have the scanner who's capturing the results. And then you have your election management system. The election management system is where you centrally tabulate the aggregate precincts. And that's the biggest threat vector that somebody like me would go after. And when I was doing fraction magic, everybody was asking like, why don't you go to the machines? And I was like, that's boring. Why would I go to all the machines when they all come to me at the end of the night, right? Like I can just sit. It's like I'm being on eBay. I'm the last thing you're gonna see before you go night night, right? When all of the machines report back to the central tabulator and the results are total, now I know what I can do. So you would do it there. So I got a copy of the GEMS tabulation software from court cases that Bev Harris got with blackboxvoting.org when she was going and she was suing some of these people. So she had all of these court cases. So it's the original source code that most manufacturers at the time, there was like an antitrust, and I think Dominion got the GEM software, but ES&S kept the contracts. It was something like that where the counties could vote on it, something like that. But most of the election software that we have now, I think is derivative of the GEM software. So I got the inaugural program, and if it was there and they were kicking it around then what do you think they have now? It should be a better generation of it.
Right, and I ask because right now, like on the screen, I'm showing some footage from here in LA. There is they have the Smartmatic IBML image track, this a really expensive machine, and there's a lawsuit right here in LA right now with Raji Rao, the congressional candidate, where he's alleging. So they're scanning the ballots. They're saying they're processing the ballots. They're running them through this machine. It's a tally machine. And his allegation is that they did it before November 3rd general election. You're right. And so when you run a ballot through it, it's the ballot image is scanned. It's voter intent is decoded. It's converted to a vote cast record. Mm-hmm. And then from that step, he's saying as soon as that happens, the vote count is known. Right. So
yeah.
I was interested in your thoughts on that. It's somewhere in the software there because I believe they go to a server, all the ballot images, and then that's where they can go in if they have administrative privileges to change things, right?
Yeah, that's your EMS. You talking about the election management system. So I don't know this particular hardware and software setup, but they're generally the same. The ballot images are getting created, and people used to think that the scanners count the ballots. They don't. They count the images. Because what happens is like a sweep. If you just imagine code, you don't want to count a ballot one by one because you don't know if an overvote, if you don't know if it kicked it out and allowed a person to vote again. So you just collect it all and you get the images, and then you can write one script to come through and create this cast vote record, which is like an Excel file. But then all these ballots took these selfies too. They went through, right? They took the selfie, and then now you have all these images, which are public records. And they don't release those records because if you got some problems with the count, the last thing you want to do is have those images telling what the truth is, because you can put all those on a thumb drive. So that's actually a problem that they have created. If you're trying to do something bad, that kind of stonewalls it because federal statutes say you have to keep those for 22 months.
Yeah, some counties were turning the machine off in Michigan, I believe, in 2018.
All counties in the entire U.S. are turning them off.
I know they want to make sure they leave no trace and no record of their wrongdoings. Benny, this is a long fight moving forward. Give us a little analysis of what we have to do moving forward, and then tell people where they can find some more information, follow you, and keep continuing to echo these words of election transparency.
Right. So both parties, I always said that both parties are just having solutions in search of problems. If you really want to root cause this thing, right, the first thing that needs to happen is we need a verifiable input. That should be a hand-marked paper ballot. There's so much complexity and authenticity that comes with a hand-marked paper ballot. No one will fill in the bubble the same way. I've been coloring out the side of the lines my whole life. That gives you so much, like a fingerprint, right? A ballot that has 16 bubbles in it is going to vary across 1 million people. When you can mass produce something, like you can print it out and the bubbles filled out exactly the same way, that's a first generation copy. So that input needs to be verifiable. That hand-marked paper ballot, can then be counted by software and hardware. So you can have the software and hardware to count the election. But guess what? In the event of Michigan and some other places, if the machines don't do their basic function, which is count, or someone intercepts those messages and changes it, you can completely eliminate the computers from the process, and then you can count it. It's just like saying an ad machine couldn't count the money, but we can still count the money. It was paper, right? So having a paper record is the smartest thing you can do. The next thing is Congress needs to deal with they can call it the fraction magic bill. Don't call it the hammer and scorecard bill, y'all. They can literally pass a bill to remove that counting mechanism. It's a facilitator in finance, because I write financial software programs. In finance, these methods, they're powerful allocation methods. When I can allocate a vote, that's what you played in the video when we said we capped the person at like 43%. This is how you get those approximations. If you go to a gas station, right, you never see 2 digits, even though it's a pity, you see 3. And the reason why the industry is able to set those records because they do what are called top-down allocations. And they can basically say, I want to give everybody 3%, and you don't have to care about losing the precision. You still get the total monies. And this is what I believe is happening in fraction magic. You're still getting the total number of votes. So hand-marked paper ballots, you can have the process, but then you got to have mandatory audits, like audit everything, right? I learned, I got my stripes writing software programs because every time I was being audited by some auditor, and auditors literally are dropped down in the middle of a scene, and then they say, give me all the documentation you have to take me to the beginning, or give me all the documentation you have to take me to the end. And that just doesn't exist in elections. So they have to have that. And then they have to have strong, strict chain of custody. Like, you got all these ballots showing up. Well, who issued them?
Yeah.
What's the supply chain? Yep. What's the issue? Like, FedEx count 1 million ballots a night. Ballots. They count 1 million. They move 1 million packages a night. But I bet you they can account for every last one of them, and you get a tracking number.
Yeah.
100%.
Benny,
right. They can fix this problem.
Yeah. I heard the new program they're using is called Screwdriver and Scoreboard. We got to look into that one next, Benny. Thank you so much. I love your shirt game. I'm going to step it up. We're going to step it up. We're going to continue to echo your message. Thank you so much for coming on. Will you come on again with us and talk to our people and let us know what's going on?
Anytime you want, man. I'll come on.
Thank you, Bennie Smith.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Benny.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Bennie Smith. Get rid of the 2 P's, baby. The proprietary software got to go.
The 2 bad words, the proprietary.
Public funding for proprietary software. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to pay for something, but you can't use it. Somebody else got to use it and got to tell you how it works.
And that's a very important segment, you guys. We're going to clip it up. That's going to be a great one for you guys to share, because that in essence, it's like, oh my God, finally somebody that gets it. Like, it's just so hard to find people that understand where we're coming from. And like, all the excuses. Well, where's your evidence? Where's your proof? Where is your proof it wasn't? Where is your proof it wasn't? Because we have far more proof that there is like nefarious fraud through everywhere, and specifically here in California and LA right now.
A lack of transparency. And Benny really explained everything, really, really well. So
I knew you guys were going to love this guest. When I got him on the phone yesterday, and I had to try hard. I got Dr. Shiva on the phone for a little bit. I'm going to get him on the show too, but I had to be relentless on this stuff. Benny, Pasta, Benny. We're the young ones talking about election integrity. Nobody's talking about this. Benny, and eventually called me back. We were supposed to have a short conversation. It ended up being an hour and 10 minutes because we were talking that language. He understood that the Convo Couch knows what they're doing. He went back, looked at our stuff, looked at Johnny's stuff, and said, all right, let's go do this. Let's create a dialogue. And I know what's going to happen for him. They're going to say, I bet you he's a Trumper. He was on with Dr. Shiva. He's a Republican. I think we really didn't talk about political, but I think he was kind of saying, like, he's voted for Democrats in the past, I guess. He's a little bit left-leaning or whatnot. But once again, he's just about fair elections. And no matter what, fam, we got to go in there, whether it be Biden or Trump who comes out with this, we got to start changing the framework. Because if we leave this in place, and I'm fearful if Biden stays in office, that this shit's going to go away. We're going to still have the same contracts. Donald Trump has now stepped over the line and is at the point of no return, that if he does find a way to reverse this, he's got to give us the tools and the power to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Well, he's got to do that too, because he's got to show that it was. The burden of proof is unfortunately on him, and that's where it really sucks, because because like I mentioned to Benny, who is doing these investigations? Like, where are they looking? It's the people doing these investigations are part of the system that wants to oust him. And we're going to talk about why specifically he's bringing in people that are more anti-interventionist kind of now, just like try to like, you know, push their buttons. And it's really interesting what's happening here, because this isn't about Trump. Like, the Democrats are making him look like the less hawkish one. And it's really scary right now. And if they get away with this marriage with the whole, you know, the NSA, the CIA, and the corporatocracy, if they get away with pretty much uniting all these people behind Joe Biden, you're going to see the consequences on that, on us, on independent media, on you and your rights, and on the elections, because the elections right now, they're attempting to push election fraud as a conspiracy theory. That doesn't happen. Even though 9 months ago, they were all talking about how unreliable these machines were, and Bernie Sanders and all this other stuff. That's what you guys cannot lose sight of, regardless of whether it's Trump or Biden.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, we didn't start this with the Trump thing. We actually started with the Bernie thing because those were the primaries that we said something's not adding up here. This is wrong. Something's going on, and now here we are today. And I want to say thank you to all the people who've helped me out with election integrity. There's somebody actually in one of the chats, either Rokfin or YouTube, not going to say, that sat down with me and opened up the door to a lot of things. There are people on all the sides. I talk to everybody, fam. We talk to everybody. We don't pick clans. We listen to everybody. But Benny is somebody who's really important. He's worked with Bev Harris. Bev Harris, like I said, she's known as the GOAT. Everybody in election integrity loves and respects Bev Harris. Whether they believe in this process or that process, they know who she is. They know what she's discovered, and Benny was a big part of that. So we're going to continue to get Benny and his good-looking shirts on to talk more about this fracturing magic and the way these machines work, and to work together to really change the framework. We got to come out of this. We got to start working on this. There's got to be election transparency activist. Okay, all those other things you're an activist on. Well, in the Republic, if you don't have a representative government, you're not going to get the people who you need to push for the policies you want. We got to fix this right here. So we invite you to join on in. Let's talk about solutions. Let's get together. Let's fix this. On the super chat, David has got the weights. Keep it up. The sticker, one of my favorite stickers. I saw Oz LaFave was in there. Thank you, Oz. He says, Convo Couch, you are the press. That was my Oz voice. I don't know how good it was, but thank you, Oz. And David, great guest. You guys killed it. David, you killed it by giving those super chats.
Does David have a shirt?
David, if you have a shirt half as nice as Bennie Smith.
No, a Convo shirt.
Oh, David needs a Convo shirt. I got to get some shirts and I got to get them made for some people. David, hit us up on the Convo Couch at gmail.com. Give me your size, your style, if you want it for your girl, your friend, your mom, your dad. You let me know what you want, men's. What your dogs, let me know what you want, and we'll get it sent out to you. So we'll get that done. So, fam. We after the election, we had to get back to foreign policy. We had to get back to certain things because the election's not over. It's not certified. Biden hasn't been crowned yet, and that fight will go on.
Well, the mainstream media and all of their friends have. But
yes, they've crowned them. But very important news. Right shortly after, a couple days after, I believe it was 2 days after the election, Trump fired his the defense secretary, and replaced him. So he has a new senior advisor. And he wants to bring the troops home. Mark Esper was fired. He was replaced by Miller. But the big thing was the senior advisor became Colonel Douglas McGregor. And I've heard Colonel Douglas McGregor talk a couple times. The guy speaks the right language. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a little hawkish things about him. And you'll see through. But way better than the Democratic neocons and the neocons on the right and all on both parties. This guy's got a different mentality. So this is the tweet by Donald Trump. I'm pleased to announce that Christopher Miller, the highly respected director of National Counterterrorism Center, will be acting Secretary of Defense effective immediately. Chris will do a great job. Mark Esper has been terminated. He put that in the tweet. I would like to thank him for his service. But he let everybody know, you're fired. You're out of here. And the reason why is, who knows, we don't know what his motives are, Donald Trump. Is it that he might be out of the White House in 60 days and he's going to make sure that he follows through with his promise to get rid of the troops in Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq, because this colonel is all about that. Now, let's take a look at him on Tucker. Did you want to say anything before we go in?
No, I mean, I just think this is a move toward kind of just throwing out the House. And this is why people keep, pushing him on Assange, and you very well should, because right now, if it looks like he's leaving, he's going to do whatever it is to piss them off. And if he manages to get people in that are less hawkish, the Democrats are going to show their true colors when they come in and try to put somebody else that's far worse in power. And maybe, just maybe, then people will begin starting to see that this isn't about the left and the right. This is about the people who want to keep their hands on the controls on the levers of power versus everybody else, the 99%. And like, that's what we always have to go back to.
Yeah, and who butters their bread? You know,
of
the
course,
levers of power. Like, it's the military-industrial complex, and you better believe if Donald Trump is able to get these troops and bring them home, Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, because we still have troops in Iraq. You know damn well if Joe Biden gets in there, it's going to be, there's going to be another Fugazi attack. We have to do this, and the language that they use to keep the troops safe. Just listen to the Democrats' language, the establishment. It's disgusting. Go ahead, Johnny. You can roll it.
Just before Christmas, the president made the decision to end America's troop presence in Syria. His rationale was simple. We are there to defeat ISIS. ISIS has been crushed. Time to declare victory and go home. Makes sense? No, not in Washington. People here lost control. America is not allowed to withdraw from any place ever wherever American troops go. They must remain until the end, whatever that is.
Well, there's so many foolish things this man has done, but this ranks pretty high.
A decision that is dangerous, and a decision that is a Christmas present to Vladimir Putin.
Giving a huge Christmas present to Putin and to Iran.
I couldn't disagree more with this decision. It's a terrible decision.
I think this will be considered one of the worst foreign policy blunders of this century.
These people are too dumb to govern, but they're governing nonetheless. They will get their way, potentially, despite the fact none of them is president. Only the president decides what our troops do, but they may win. Recently, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina boasted that the president had been convinced to pause the withdrawal of American troops from Syria. No doubt the next objective is making that pause permanent. What next? Douglas McGregor watches carefully. He's a retired U.S. Army colonel, author of the terrific book Margin of Victory. He joins us tonight. Colonel, thank you very much for coming on.
Sure.
So if you believe in civilian control of the military, it should be as simple as the president saying this is what we're going to do. But it doesn't seem to be that simple.
No, I think there's a problem, and you've got to remember that most of your senior officers are products of the Clinton, Bush, Obama era. So they have a lot invested in this. And remember that the people who live in the 7 zip codes in and around Washington, D.C. have all become millionaires as a result of their investment in these failed operations.
That's not a talking point. That's literally true.
Yes, of course. So you put the two together, and you have a lot of resistance to ending something that's been profitable for them. It hasn't been profitable for the American people. It's been a disaster. Trillions of dollars in debt over the last 17 years, thousands of people killed and wounded. And for what? And the answer is not much.
It just seems like if you're looking for a crisis, a constitutional crisis.
Yeah. I mean, well, once again, this is the first example of this gentleman's language right here, the colonel, right? Like, and it's going to get even better, whatnot. And he also explains what's going on, and he keeps a geopolitical kind of right-wing conservative kind of like little hunch. I don't want to say like the language, but he's like, well, if the goal is to have these people, not let Putin get powerful, if we pull out, it's actually going to be more of a burden on him to make sure that the region is under control, because there's other players now that really are the problem, not the players that we're occupying their land, who are so decimated and gone. So what is your first thought about this gentleman's language? Because now he's the senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense, and a lot of people think that this is a move that Donald Trump is going to be poised to pull the troops home out of those 3 countries we talked about. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's the most anti-interventionist guy, but I think he's definitely less of a neocon than anybody that we've had in recent years. Yeah. So, but what I really want you guys to notice is the language and verbiage coming from the likes of Nancy Pelosi, coming from the likes of the left, liberal left on CNN, MSNBC, these people who are manufacturing consent for more war as Americans are in the middle of a pandemic, don't have health care, literally are on the verge of, we're on the verge of an economic crisis here. And this is by far the worst possible blunder. Putin. Like, you have to understand, get out of this whole idea that there's this left-right paradigm. This is us, the people, versus the oligarchy, and the oligarchy on both the left and the right want war. There are people on both sides who don't want war. And that's something you have to understand, because this is the most hawkish language. This is CNN and MSNBC criticizing Trump for wanting to pull troops out. You guys, we've been there. There's no reason for us to be there. And the fact that these people are over here making it about Putin is really disgusting. It's really dangerous. And if you are not appalled by what they're doing, and the fact that Tucker Carlson, out of all people, has to really call them out, seriously? Like, come on. This is really, really bad. The Democrats, like he mentioned before, the general mentioned, the colonel, the Bush and the Obamas and the Clintons, they're all the same. They're all one elite entity. One's a Republican, one's a Democrat, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's labels. That's all it is.
Yeah, and like you said, I'm going to quote Bernie Sanders, it's one big aisle over here. You know what I'm saying? Back in the old school. Yeah, shame you joined it, Bernie. But the one big aisle, Lindsey Graham hugging Dianne Feinstein after they got their Supreme Court nominee through. The other day, he gave a dap.
Yep.
To Kamala Harris.
Yeah, we're going to show that.
All right, I didn't even know. I'm sorry. But I mean, it's just one big aisle. And then he was bragging that he got the president to pause on pulling the troops out. The language that you're putting the troops in harm's way by bringing them home is the most insane thing ever. And if you're agreeing with it, your TDS needs to be checked.
No, it's more than your TDS. You're a fucking warmonger. You're approving warmongering ways. Your TDS has gone so far that you're willing to send people to death. To die, soldiers who you say you want to protect, to support the troops, you're willing to send them to die in useless wars for rich people who don't give a shit about anybody else. And that's the reality. If you are supporting these neocons on the Democratic side, you are just as guilty as anything, because people abroad are gonna die even more with these sanctions that Biden's gonna keep pushing. He's gonna increase our presence in the Middle East. He's gonna increase our presence in the global South. All of these people are in danger, and this is shit that we need to be talking about. And Americans are just like, oh, we got rid of fascism. Whoop-de-doo. No, you didn't get rid of any fascism. You have brought it in and put a little bow on it and called it Joe Biden. But that's literally what's happening.
The bow by Joe Biden. Donnie, I'm calling him. Donnie, shut the F up, Donnie. Johnny, let's run the next one from 207 to 408 because we've already talked a little bit about the whole thing. So run it for about 2 minutes.
Just seems like if you're looking for a crisis, a constitutional crisis, or something that would undermine democracy as we practice it for 240 years, it's the idea of the unelected subverting the power of the elected.
The problem is, though, the unelected are being supported by many of the elected to obstruct this decision to leave. There's another reason for this, in addition to the problem with money. Historically, when we leave, as we did when we left Vietnam, we're out permanently.
Yeah.
People know once we leave Syria, once we get completely out of Iraq, once we get completely out of Afghanistan, it's over. And President Trump is going to do that. That's very clear. This pause is just that. It is a pause. We had to get out of northern Syria quickly. And the reason for that is simply there were tens of thousands of Turkish troops poised to attack the Kurds, the terrorists who have been attacking Turkey in northern Syria. We got the Syrian government to go in there. We got out. Now we have created an enormous problem for Mr. Putin, because Mr. Putin has cultivated the Turks. Mr. Putin has also cultivated his Iranian and Syrian allies. He's got to make a choice. Does he allow the Turks into Syria? Then he loses his position with the Syrians and the Iranians. So the notion that Mr. Putin has somehow or another won something is absurd. This has been a very clever move on the part of the president.
So if you see like 6 or 7 senators and talking heads in a row repeating the same talking point like robots, this is a Christmas present for Putin.
Right.
That's like prima facie evidence that they're dumb, right?
Well, you could say stupid, but obviously they're briefed by only one side, and that side has no interest in the truth. The truth is that by getting out of the way, we have eliminated the consensus that was holding these various diverse partners together. There is no reason why the Turks, the Russians, the Iranians should cooperate at all. And that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Colonel, thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Great to see you.
So, fam, you saw the language, the gift to Putin, the consensus and whatnot, and it's stuff. It's just the story that it's echoed throughout the chambers seems to be one-sided, coming from the CIA and the military-industrial complex. And now you have Democrats who are so loyal to this whole machinery, this mechanism, which is the military-industrial complex, echoing those words.
And I was listening to Steve Boykinen's show, and they had on Vanessa Beeley, who is in Syria, and I'd like to definitely bring her on because she is in Syria, and she was talking about how people over there are actually scared of Joe Biden coming in because they have actually managed to get some things going in Syria and work through this whole process, even with some of Trump's actions. They believe that things will be heightened with a Joe Biden presidency. And this is people in Syria saying that. So it's really interesting. It's not surprising at all that the Democratic Party is absolutely manufacturing consent because they become, you can see it in their advertisements on CNN. Boeing, Lockheed Martin, etc. All these people make so much money off the defense industry that, of course, it doesn't matter. This isn't about, right and wrong. This is about the money and the situation and how these people are going to make money. And the fact this guy is a threat to the military industrial complex, and they are going to smear him. They're going to make Trump look like he's stealing babies in order to manufacture consent. Yeah.
And let's just remember, this was like a year and change ago.
Yep.
So that was like before, like when he was just kind of pressuring Trump. I heard like in him and the Rand Pauls, like, let's get out of Afghanistan, let's get out of Syria, let's, you know what I'm saying? Now he's in a position, fam, to really, really to make a change here and really pull these troops home. It's just sickening the fact that they're still using the McCarthy-Putin thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to
Agreed.
stop. And the fact that they're actually, they're pushing for war, the Democrats. And Joe Biden has always been that one of the guys. He's going to let the generals do what they want to do. Let the generals make the calls. Okay.
So
that
that last clip was from January, right? The 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
And then
That's almost 2 years ago, right? This one's from a year ago now. This is about Iraq. And I love the way the language he uses. We lost. Get it through your head. We didn't win shit. Because the whole thing is when you say we lost, that would mean you'll be hesitant to go push for another war again. If you stop putting on that, hey, we won every single war we were we didn't win nothing. Nothing.
We didn't win Richards.
We didn't win Richards. Here he is talking about Iraq now on Tucker again.
U.S. Army Colonel, author of the fantastic book Margin of Victory, frequent guest on the show. He joins us tonight. So thanks so much for coming on.
Sure.
So what would be the reason to stay in Iraq at this point?
I can't think of any, to be perfectly blunt with you. None that are any good. There are people who sympathize with those Arabs in Iraq who would like us to stay as some sort of counterweight to Iran. But frankly, we have no vital strategic interest that compels us to be there. The president is very lucky. These missiles, as you pointed out, were targeted in advance, and we were informed in advance of where they were going to land, so we were able to evacuate soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines and have no casualties. The president made a right decision not to respond. Now he needs to live up to the promises that he made to the American people and pull us out of both Syria and Iraq. That war is over. We lost it. Iran is a winner for the moment, but it won't be a winner for very long because Iran has to compete with the Turks and the Sunni Islamists for control of Iraq. So our interests do not involve Iraq and Syria. Our interests begin along a line that runs across the top of Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, around Kuwait, and down to the middle of the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, and he's still obviously like a colonel. Like he still obviously has that, like, oh, we still have our interests, and he's definitely not an anti-interventionist. But at the very least, this guy is for getting out of these places we've already lost in, and even something as minimal as that is no. No, that is the worst foreign policy blunder of our time if Trump does this. Yeah. Like, it is disgusting how far to the right the Democratic Party is. And there's a woman that watches our show. She was saying, like, in Germany, the Democrats would be the furthest right-wing party in Germany. And they're trying to get rid of them right now. So that is how far right you guys... It's just about like a lack of ethics. It's about this imperialism that we have, and we just got to end it. We can't even do this. This is the first step.
Yeah, and he was talking about going along and staying with our allies and staying in that area and helping them out. Obviously, not going into proxy wars against Russia, or whatnot, because that message is just really fabricated and it's a lie.
Yeah.
The fact that if we don't do this, Russia will gain power and influence there—that's not true. There's enough going on, and I like in this next clip is he saying that actually, if that's what you're saying, the best plan is still to get out because they'll have their hands filled dealing with stuff rather than kind of sitting back and watching us cause chaos and distress. Because remember, the Soviet Union fell because one of the big reasons is they had to spend a lot of money on their imperialism stretching out so far. And if you do that, it really economically weakens a country. We're economically weakened. If we have to stay with the monetary system we have, and you don't understand MMT, we have to do what we have to do with our currency. We spend so much money of it overseas with all these wars when we can just take that money and bring it right back home. If we're going to stay with that same monetary system, the new money we can create it for our stuff at home, not for stuff abroad, not for missiles to bomb other brown people in other lands. It's wrong, and it's racist. And the Democrats are worse than Donald Trump, the establishment. And that's the thing with the squad. They had the fraud squad. They haven't spoke out about this stuff as much as they should. They talk about Yemen, but there's a lot of other countries we're in that their Democratic leaders are pushing to stay in.
100%. Okay.
That's where our interests have been.
The Levant to the Gulf, of course. So you're saying that if we want to impede the growth of Iran's influence in the region, hand them Iraq and wish them luck, in the same way that the Soviets invading Afghanistan precipitated the end of the Soviet Empire. Is that what you're saying?
Mr. Erdogan in Turkey has made it very clear that he covets northern Iraq. He would like to control all of Syria. He is now sending Sunni Islamist fighters and Turkish troops into Libya and Tunisia. He is the new problem for us, not Iran. Iran really is on the ropes. Its population is sick to death of the wars that have been fought in Iraq and Syria by proxy forces and by Iranians in the Quds Force. They've taken thousands of casualties. Mr. Soleimani was popular with many, but very unpopular with others, especially the people that lost sons fighting in those countries.
Yes.
Let's get out, leave it alone, let the people there sort it out, and they will. Iran's not going to be popular for very long in Iraq.
There you go. What's that? That was after the whole thing went on in Iraq with
was
the
that
whole.
After or before Soleimani got killed?
I think it was.
If this was a
I think it was right after.
It was January 8th. So let me see.
When did Soleimani get killed? I can't remember.
That was after.
I think it was definitely after.
Yeah.
When was he killed?
January 3rd.
So it was right after.
Yeah.
It was right after. And, but he also pointed out, too, as well, like everybody thinks that, the whole thing, the talk is if we pull out of the region, Russia's going to back Iran. Iran's going to be the power broker over there. They're the strong ones. No, their hands are tied. Their country is just fed up with war and infighting in their own country. They don't want to do anything. And he also kind of points out, what we've been talking about a long time. Who's the guy I dislike most in that region? Erdogan.
Yeah.
Turkey. What he's doing, sending Sunni Islamic troops all over the fucking region. Excuse my French, Mom. I didn't mean to curse, but it's serious. He's serving, he did it right now with Nagorno-Karabakh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's the big problem right now. That's the one we want to focus our attention on, not look at Iran, just because it's very comfortable for Israel. Well, Israel doesn't like Turkey either, so maybe we can concentrate on throwing, Turkey out of NATO and putting Erdogan in his place and put him to heel by saying you're not going to go into these other countries or do whatever. I mean, I don't want to go for another enemy, another war, but I think pulling out would be the best thing to do, and Colonel McGregor agrees.
Yeah, pulling out is the best thing to do, and
whoa, hello, PG.
But no, seriously. I mean, the way he says it, why do we have to be there? It's a very logical, basic, simple thing. The best thing to do is just get out, let them sort it out. We need to stop interfering and having these these quagmires everywhere else. That is a logical sense, and it's also okay, I don't give a crap about what your political ideology is. America needs to stop being the imperialist boot that it is, and needs to stop going everywhere and stomping on everybody else's shit and getting everybody in everybody else's business when we can't even fix our own goddamn domestic issues here. And so stay the hell away.
Now, this question was asked, and remember now, Donald Trump has got this guy in a position right now where he's the senior advisor, and I think that's why he's going to pull out. pulling out is the best thing to do. But no, he's the senior advisor. Donald Trump was putting him in play.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this is just the last power move to say, hey, listen, if I'm out in 62 days or 60 days now, I'm going to get the troops home, and I'm going to let the public see the troops coming home as I'm hugging them and giving them high fives.
And the
Democrats are going to have to put them back in there. And let me tell you something, fam. Rhetoric means something. Rhetoric means a lot. Bernie Sanders didn't get anything passed, but he changed the whole political discussion. The whole dialogue was, okay, hey, we deserve Medicare for all. Hey, we need to do something with our student loan forgiveness. Hey, we need to do something with the Green New Deal. We didn't get any of that. But the voice is there. The rhetoric is there. When Donald Trump has this rhetoric and he puts people in play like
it's
this,
the same
you
rhetoric.
hear Trump people saying, we need to end these wars. I'm like, okay, because you used to defend the Republicans, but now you're changing your tune. I like it moving forward.
It's the same way his rhetoric meant a lot when he was defending certain groups and wasn't speaking out against them. It has these same impacts, whether the impacts are negative or positive. The rhetoric does have a certain degree to matter. This is why his rhetoric was also helpful in getting people to really fall back in line with the neoliberals, because they used that whole rhetoric. The mainstream media really upped his rhetoric against a lot of immigrants, people of color, etc., and used that against him because it does work and there is an emotion to it. But more than rhetoric, actions. If Donald Trump is able to bring in more non-interventionist people in his last days, and he's able to bring the troops home, then the ball is going to be in the Democrats' court, just like the ball is in Nancy Pelosi's court. And if they're going to politicize this and try to bring people and try back into war, that's going to be on them. And we're not going to shut up about it. In fact, we're going to talk about it nonstop, and you can't hide from that. We're going to see these people come home, and then we're going to see them send them right back. And that's how you're going to know that the Democratic Party is only Democratic in name.
Yeah, well, this is also a big move for Donald Trump on his plate. If he doesn't pull it off, he's not going to look good coming out, walking out, be like, all right, Donald, empty, broken promises.
Gotta do it.
But if he pulls it through, I mean, it's just a different whole thing. I mean, if he can do this, I will be so happy, fam. And I know a lot of anti-war people will be so happy. Let's bring these troops home. 20 years. I don't want to hear about solutions or the way to do it anymore. It's way past that time. 22 kids kill themselves every day in this country, pull a gun, hang themselves because of PTSD from going over and fighting in these very countries. Let's bring him home. Last part of this, they asked him then, is it possible for us to get this, to make this, put this ball into motion and make it actually happen, bringing troops home? His answer.
Is there any hope that happens?
Well, the president can do it. He has a wonderful opportunity now. He has a new point of departure. He can take the clean sheet and put it on the table, and he can sit with the Iranians and say, look, what are your interests? Tell us. We'll tell you what ours are. And he can draw that line that I mentioned. That can become the Trump line. And that's how great powers sort things out. But there's no support in this country to stay in Iraq and Syria. There is no support in the United States for a war over there. He knows that. So we have two groups of people that know something. The leadership in Tehran knows it doesn't want a war with us. We know we don't want a war with them. What a wonderful opportunity to sit down and sort it out.
The only impediment is permanent Washington.
There you go.
Yes.
As always.
Tucker Carlson, fam. Tucker Carlson's got to say the things that we need people to say. Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. And, I can't stand Tucker Carlson when he talks about immigration and race. Absolutely not. But it's the fact that nobody else is talking about this. This is really sad. The fact that this guy on the right has to bring in people that are speaking against war. Why is MSNBC, CNN? Why? Because they're in the pockets of the defense manufacturers. That's why they're not doing it. And the only people that are talking about it are some independent media, even not that very many, focus on foreign policy. And this is, that's it. Like, why can't we sit down and have a conversation? Why does it always have to be, you're my enemy, we hate you, we hate you, we hate you? Like, stop. We need to change our policy. And the only candidate was really talking about that in the primary, of course, was Tulsi Gabbard, talking about, we need to sit down and change how how we operate when it comes to other countries, our enemies and our allies. Have a conversation, stop these wasteful regime change wars. It's not that difficult to really say it. And I'm glad, like you talked about rhetoric, I'm glad that's becoming more of the norm, because a lot of people feel that way. They just never knew how to vocalize it.
Yeah. And if Donald Trump does get thrown out on his ass and Joe Biden becomes president, you're going to see a 4-year campaign of Donald Trump when he's going to constantly say, they're war hawks. I pulled them out. They put them back in. That's going to change the rhetoric. If the people on the right start getting with that, guys, just think about that. Now, there's an argument from a lot of people who say Donald Trump is all talk, no action. And then there's a lot of people who are supporting Donald Trump who are saying, well, he's got to fight the deep state. He's got to fight the intelligence community. It's really, really hard. These people are embedded within our Congress. You can see the way Nancy Pelosi and all these people, we're putting the troops in harm's way by bringing them home. Have you ever heard any type of freaking nonsense like that, fam? We're putting them in danger by bringing them home.
And I gotta say, like I'm one of those people that thinks that Donald Trump is more of a barker than a biter. Like he's not really. He's in my opinion, he's a narcissist. He's gonna do whatever he can to look good to make the Democrats look bad. I don't care why he's doing it at this point. I want the troops to come home. I want us to stop our presence in the Middle East, to lower our presence in the Middle East at the very least. And if he's going to do that, and if he's going to go out with a bang and pardon Julian Assange and do all these things, which I don't know if he will. And yes, the deep state is very powerful. And by deep state, I mean the CIA, the NSA, etc., the Pentagon. They're very powerful. But if you're going to say that you're going to do something, you should follow through with it, especially now, because Donald Trump could run again if he gets out. He could run again.
Yeah, he will.
And the party will grow, and people are going to be angry. And like I said before, when I was on Crosstalk, we're going to see a more competent right emerge out of all of this with more anger and more bringing more people in, because the Democrats are just going to continue to expose themselves.
Johnny, anything else on this subject before I read a couple super chats? Get on to the next one.
Yeah, shout out to Poikinen.
Steve Poikinen.
He joined up and he said, hello, my fellow right-wing grifters. But really quick, I just wanted to point out something that maybe a lot of people don't know this, but you can buy stock in defense companies, right?
Of course.
So here's Lockheed, here's Northrop Grumman, here's Raytheon. You can buy stock. So this is a problem. Why? So if people are able to buy stock in a defense company, that means that they're able to invest in war.
Yep.
So this needs to be eliminated. They need to be eliminated off the stock market.
Yep.
People shouldn't be able to have stock in even though these are private companies, they're publicly, public investments.
Right.
I can buy it right now if I wanted to. I can invest in Lockheed right now. But if you look at their this is a year graph, right? So this is their prices for the year. They're all the same. They're all pretty much the same. So it doesn't matter. They're all defense industries, and it all depends on our foreign policy. And these are three companies who have millions and millions of dollars and can influence and are influencing politicians, are lobbying politicians, and they're going to influence. They got money in the elections, right? So.
Oh yeah. Dick Medhurst said best. Congratulations to Raytheon and Northrop Grumman who won the election last night.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they continue as ever. And in fact, I think the stocks are going to go up if Biden becomes president.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. The whole industry is built upon buying more bombs. To buy more bombs, to sell more bombs, you have to drop more bombs. So the more you drop, then the more you can make. And you can constantly keep the cycle just going and going and going. And we have Mark Sloboda on the show to talk about Syria, what we were just talking about with the first video. Actually, at one point, the United States, the Pentagon, the deep state, the CIA, all these facets were funding and supplying weapons to all parties involved fighting in Syria. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't explain everything to you right there, I don't know what will. It's about money. It's about this industry. It's about what Eisenhower told us coming out. We have a military industrial complex, and it is running wild, and it is influenced, and what's the word? It's infected our Congress.
Mm-hmm. It's infested,
it's infected with it. And so many people on the left and the right, Lindsey Graham coming out and praising the fact that he got Donald Trump to pause from bringing the troops home.
That just tells you that there's the left wing and right wing paradigm is not really the biggest issue here.
It's not. Super chat contributions. Johnny, anything else before we get on to the next subject? All right, so Michael Ungerliner. Ungie, thank you for the super chat contribution. It's a generous one. This election wasn't rigged. How do I know? ? CNN proved it. How did they prove it? They showed a New York Times headline, case closed. LOL. And that is the That is the theater, the kabuki theater that is going on with our Congress and all the people in the mainstream media. They're just telling their story. The way they called the whole election, the way they covered it was so disgusting. And even when when I was watching it live, when they said Wisconsin swung to Biden, it was like 117,000 votes. No pause, no nothing. I was like, wait a second. This dude just swung a ton of votes, and you're just acting like, and they're going along. Oh, Biden's ahead now. Biden's ahead. We said they were
scripted acting the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Malik Clary, the fact that Joe Biden won, and with more votes than Obama himself, how many more? Like 9 million more, who ran a near perfect fake progressive campaign should be suspect to everyone.
Absolutely.
He ran a fake suspected campaign.
I mean, that alone, right? That alone should tell you, oh my God, like there's something up here. Joe Biden hiding in the basement, cognitive decline,
saying nothing will
record
change.
That's terrible. Freaking like with Kamala Harris as the cop, as his VP in the middle of civil unrest and etc. Like, you're gonna tell me that people literally were so excited to vote for Joe Biden when he couldn't fill a living room? Yeah. Are you serious? Like, come on, guys. Like, seriously, even just based on that. Come on.
Yeah, Malik finally says Blue is the imposter, and he vented while Americans do task. Thank you so much, Malik. It was an awesome Super Chat contribution. We appreciate it. Hey, guys, if you haven't gone over to the Rokfin, get on over there and sign up. There are some election integrity people over there, election and transparency people who know what's going on. The conversation right now on the Rokfin is awesome, talking about what happened with Jill Stein and the case that she won that nobody had won. So her take on it really right now is sad, too, as well, because the TDS just running bold. But once again, there's some people over there. Go over to that Rokfin, join on up. You get everybody's content for free. If you want premium content, all you have to do is support one person, support the Convo Couch, and you get everybody's content across the board as well. Now, you've been talking about this as well. Johnny, did you have anything else to add on that topic? Okay, I'm sorry. Biden adds more corporate America in his staff picks. Fam, we've been talking about this, and it's like, this is the funny part right now. I want to have a meme where Biden and Trump are laughing, where Biden and Obama are laughing, and he's like, great run, Joe, why are you laughing? He goes, I told him I will appoint progressives to my cabinet, and Joe's just laughing, because it's laughable to think that you were going to move this guy, especially right when you gave him your vote, no matter what, progressives, not mentioning any names. I mean, so, fam, give us an update with what's going on his appointees.
Okay, so Biden has added, you guys saw the video I did about Ronald Klain and how the entire progressives were all like cheering. By the way, Ryan Grimm included on that. I forgot to include him on that. But Biden has added more of his corporate America to these staff picks. Let's go over really quickly on who he appointed to his team for the White House's his staff picks, right? So one of the people, and we're gonna go over him and the transition team later, but Steve Ricchetti is gonna be the counselor of the president. He is like as corrupt as they come, and I'm gonna show you exactly how. He had a really huge lobbying career in the 90s and early 2000s, and he's continuing his as counselor for the president. And the way they're framing this, of course, is that Joe Biden has the most diverse staff out of any other president, and you guys will see how.
Doing?
Oh yeah,
the most diverse. Here they go.
Intersectional fascism, intersectional imperialism. Yay! That we have women of color, we have gay people, and we have trans people all pushing imperialism. Let's all cheer, because the bombs they drop are going to feel a lot more diverse on the people they drop them.
Yes.
Like, seriously? That is the mentality right now. Jen O'Malley Dillon is going to be the deputy chief of staff. She has been a long time consultant, worked for the Obama administration, also Rep. Beto O'Rourke. You know, he's in great company here. Dana Remus is going to be another counsel to the president. She served as a general counsel to the Biden campaign. And her experience clerking for conservative Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is one of the things that, you know, they're hailing. Oh, great. She worked for a conservative justice. She recently gave a speech to the Federalist Society, airing grievances of the court's decision on same-sex marriages. Then there's Cedric Richmond,
Oh, this
who's
guy.
a Democrat in Louisiana. He's a senior advisor to the president and director of the White House Office of Public Engagement. So this guy is the national co-chair to Joe Biden's presidential campaign. He's going to focus on grassroots organization outreach and advocacy groups, including the NAACP, which is as co-opted as they come. He also worked with climate activists and businesses, and it was lauded by the South Carolina rep Jim Clyburn, who we know is no friend to Bernie Sanders.
No friend to progressives.
No friend to any progressives. And of course, he's the most senior, Clyburn was also the most senior Black Democrat in the House. So again, he's like we have diversity in Joe Biden's cabinet.
Wasn't this the guy watching golf and he got caught for watching golf while the hearing was going on?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was like a Russiagate hearing that the Democrats were pushing, and they caught this guy watching golf.
And another diverse imperialism coming over here is Julie Chavez Rodriguez. She's the director of the White House Office in Intergovernmental Affairs, and she is the granddaughter of Chavez, who is Cesar Chavez. He was the famous labor leader. And she is now the highest ranking Latina after serving in senior capacity for Kamala Harris's presidential primary run. And she was one of Harris's earliest hires. She also worked with and has strong bonds with Obama and Biden. And of course, again, the diversity and the imperialism right there. Julie Annie Tomasini is the director of Oval Office operations. Yeah, Tomasini she was the traveling chief of staff. She's going to be, again, she's another woman that's there, hailed for being a woman. And she's, of course, been a corporatist for a while, working for several campaigns. And this is the big one, Julissa Reynoso Pantaleon, chief of staff to Jill Biden. She is a Dominican woman of Dominican descent. So all the Latino groups are hailing her because she is Latina. And she's working for Joe Biden. A couple other things I wanted to point out on these people specifically were some of their records. Specifically, no, it's not coming up.
Really? Why is it not coming up?
That's really weird.
It's not letting us.
Oh, that's fine. But you guys pretty much saw. Yeah. There was specific things though, so don't worry about it. But Johnny, can you please show this picture right here with all the people that were elected, and they're being hailed, of course, like I said, the most diverse. You have 5 women and a man of color and 2 women of color, and it's all gravy because that's what we're looking at.
How did they get away with this thing, fam? They always throw the diversity thing out there, but they don't look at the policy and how these people are driven, how they can be pro-war and anti-labor and whatnot, and yet they throw this in. Oh, we have a Latina woman, a woman of color. You know what I'm saying? I got a guy who used to work for the NAACP, and it's just kind of weird that they do this shit. I mean, and they get away with it.
Yeah, 100%. And I just want to point out something right here with Mike Donilon, who is one of the picks over there that you guys can see. He helped draft Biden's message, and he's a senior advisor, and he's one of the most
New York
freaking
Times,
corrupt.
I don't get New York Times. It won't let me.
He's just one of the most corrupt people. His record. He's one of the ones that you know. Like I said, I'm gonna have a whole list of all these people, but Steve Ricchetti is actually the worst one out of all his staff picks. Steve Ricchetti was actually, like I said, a lobbyist, and he helped lobby for the same company responsible for jacking up the price of insulin, Eli Lilly and Company. If you guys remember, in January 2001, Ricchetti founded and ran Ricchetti Inc., a government relations lobbying and political consulting firm with his brother Jeff Ricchetti. And Ricchetti's firm represented a number of clients, including AT&T, Eli Lilly and Co., which is the insulin one, the American Hospital Association, United Technologies, American Council of Life Insurances, and the American Bankers Association. This guy in particular is trash, and the fact that he is going to be part of the Joe Biden, just even his little staff picks, the surface level of what we're seeing here, because his transition team is far scarier, and I'm working on a video on that because that is really scary. The people doing the hiring are all CIA, NSA people like that, military guys, lobbyist types. Those are the ones that are hiring people like them.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say his mozzarella, it's tough. He doesn't even make good mozzarella, Steve Ricchetti. He's no good.
They got 2 Italians, but they're both,
they don't even know how to make good mozzarella. It's tough. It's rough.
It's rough, fam.
Like shoe leather. Whoever.
And you mentioned earlier, fam.
This to me was all telling right here. It's like, wow, Lindsey Graham and Kamala Harris, right?
Right. Nothing will fundamentally change. In Joe Biden's own words, he has said that. So, in my opinion, the true divide of this country was never between the right and the left, but between the working class and the elitist criminal establishment manipulating the plebs to loathe one another. And you guys can see here is Kamala Harris giving a fist bump to Lindsey Graham. This is all a game to them, you guys. They're just, like I said, they go home. They go to each other's weddings. They hang out in the same clubs. They hang out in the same circles. They're friends. You think that you are picking one team over the other. You are picking one team over the other. You're picking the team on the side of the oligarchy, of the establishment, of the imperialists, of the warmongers, of the CIA, of the NSA, of the Pentagon. You're picking all those people when you pick one of these parties, because these parties both belong to the corporatist side of the establishment. And there is no difference. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, there is them and then there's us. Yeah. And that's what we always have to remember.
And the way everybody was just goaded back into the Democratic Party after one cycle, just get them right back in there. Somebody said on a chat the other day that I voted for the lesser of 2 evils, and everybody just assumed that he was talking about Biden. He goes, I voted for Donald Trump. I mean, you can make an argument that Donald Trump is the lesser of 2 evils. When you see this behavior, they're on one side. It's the corporatist side over here. They forced Joe Biden down our throats after they forced Hillary Clinton down our throats. We were screaming about the elections from the get-go, saying that shouldn't be the way.
Yeah.
The whole thing, how Donald Trump stole the 2020 election was such a joke. Because how can they steal it from? How can Donald Trump steal the election when they stole it from Bernie Sanders twice?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's really sad to see Bernie Sanders kind of capitulate to these people right here. This just says a million words right here. Lindsey Graham, Kamala Harris, ladies and gentlemen, progressives, what did you do? You're going to have to face the facts of what you did. And you put us back. We're taking steps back.
We're taking
Donald
steps
Trump
back.
wasn't our guy, but at least he was a little bit more of a cage rattler. He stirred things up.
No, people saw him as, it's going to take a long time for people to really see things like the way they are actually, rather than what isn't embedded in their emotions, because their emotions right now are like Donald Trump, Orange Man, Cheeto, bad, like we got it, we hate him, he's got to go. And I think obviously I don't want Donald Trump as president either, but I certainly do not want Joe Biden. And that's the thing, when people were making that argument on the progressive end that we need to vote for Joe Biden because we're going to be able to fight better with Joe Biden in there. Like, nobody could ever tell me where you got that information from, why you thought that you were going to be able to fight better with Joe Biden in there. Like, there's zero indication that having either of these people is going to make you fight better. If anything, having Trump out there, and the Black Lives Matter woman even said it herself, it was blatant, right? The things you had to fight against were blatant. Donald Trump was very transparent about where he stood ideologically. Like, he didn't hold back as to what he believed in and all this thing, so you could fight that more clearly. With Joe Biden, it is the friendly mask, the friendly fascist mask, where you're not gonna see people like get out like in that way, because it's already happening, you guys. Half of the people that we knew in the progressive movement here, yay, it's okay to celebrate, it's okay, we got Trump out. What the fuck are you celebrating? I'm so sorry, I just do not understand how you could possibly be celebrating when this is happening behind the scenes, this merger between the intelligence community, between the Silicon Valley big tech world, and of course between the mainstream media. All these institutions have lined up behind Joe Biden. Yeah. So has the old school Republican Bush type of neocons. You see, Lindsey Graham was upset that about Donald Trump bringing troops home, about Donald Trump's foreign policy. So do you not see that these alliances here are definitely pro-imperialist, pro-capitalist, pro-Wall Street, pro-everything, pro-NSA, CIA, and all those people are against the people. That's who you're cheering for. That's who you're cheering for.
Yeah, and it's so crazy, because if there was ever an election to say that we have to make some positive change moving forward, we have to get a little bit more progressive with our lawmakers and our policy to make sure that a person like Donald Trump never wins again. We did the exact opposite. We went back to brunch and we put the people in charge.
Yep.
That's what they wanted, the status quo. And the status quo is what delivered us Donald Trump in the first place. So the fact that they're just going back to the same people want to be in charge, and they got you fooled by saying, but Trump, and your TDS kicked in, and you're out there going, yay, and you're celebrating and you're hitting your horns, and, nothing is fixed. Our elections have gotten worse since they cheated Bernie Sanders in 2016. That's when the Democrats were really stepping up, like, we're going to put the full court press on our own party, people running within our own party, and we're going to cheat them, and you're going to have to select the people we want. The elections have gotten worse. The foreign policy from the Democrats have gotten worse. We can't get hawkish enough for them. The censorship has gotten worse. The Democrats that they've brought in, the new Democrats and the squad or whatever, they want more censorship. So we are lost in the woods, and the fact that you are celebrating Joe Biden is scary. I really hope something happens with these elections because we have to fix the framework. And I'm of the school of that if we get our election straight, the populist minds will eventually take over, and we will get a better solutions and better results. And people like us will get the things we want and will be pushed forward. So that has to happen, and I hope it really does. So I'm looking forward to continuing the election integrity talk, keeping an eye on these transition teams. I mean, he had the person from the Smartmatic board part of his transition team.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that
this
tell you,
transition team is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it is absolutely a nefarious transition team. Transition more into corruption. You're not transitioning, and they're all these Democrats are using the same words. You've noticed they literally use the same slogans. On just real quick in the news, Johnny, I have this Julian Assange, who is locked down in Belmarsh prison right now. His prison is on lockdown after a COVID outbreak. Now, this is extremely dangerous because Julian Assange suffers from a rare lung issue that makes him more susceptible to COVID-19. And so his lawyers for Assange basically said that he is a high-risk patient, and he is, of course, awaiting to find out if he'll be extradited to the U.S. to face charges of conspiring to obtain and disclose classified documents. And, of course, this is a situation where all of my Assange folks I know are trying to be like, hey, Trump, pardon Julian Assange, pardon Julian Assange. You said you loved WikiLeaks, right? Pardon Julian Assange. This is a point where, regardless of where you fall ideology-wise, we see a lot of people on the right support Assange, which is interesting to me. But then we see a lot of people on the left support Assange. But come on, like, this is a time where you can come together and say two things: election integrity, free speech. Those are the things that people can come together on. And right now you can make that push as well also for anti-interventionism. All these anti-war people on both sides of the aisle push Donald Trump. Hey, send the troops home, protect free speech, and of course push election integrity reform. If Donald Trump, or at the very least if his supporters make themselves more aware on these things, the next time around, they might have, who knows what can happen with people becoming more informed, regardless of their ideology, on these issues that are so important when it comes to protecting any sort of democracy. Because if we don't have free speech, we don't have fair elections, and we're going to be, invading countries all over the world. We're never going to get anything we want.
Nope. And we're going to suffer, live in the streets, live paycheck to paycheck, like 80% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. So it's something we got to keep in mind. We got to straighten out. We got to move forward with these things. And, even just, we understand elections. We think that this election was a sham. But even further kind of cementing my thoughts are the big tech giants who keep censoring stuff online and keep on putting, things that we roll we roll it right here. U.S. election. The AP is called the presidential race for Joe Biden. Click on it, show me more. I mean, this shit's going on all over the place. They're just proving our point, ladies and gentlemen. What are they trying to hide? Remember, big tech gave $16 million to Joe Biden. Less than $1 million were given by big tech to Donald Trump. They don't like him. They want his ass out.
And
they want Joe Biden in because he'll do whatever they say.
No, they're going to do everything they can to get him out. I mean, they're already doing it. From the moment that mainstream media pretty much went and attacked Bernie Sanders, with the Washington Post posting 16 articles against Bernie Sanders in one day, like literally in 24 hours. That's election interference. When the mainstream media is painting a propagandized narrative that isn't real and isn't based on fact, that is only based on rhetoric and is only based on a certain narrative that they're trying to push, when they're getting money from these politicians, these defense contractors, that is election interference. People don't even talk about that. That in itself, the fact that our media is supposed to be the oversight to everything, and they've become a tool to push a certain narrative, that is election interference. From that moment, this election was already a sham, because you are already interfering in how the American people receive information, how they think how they perceive this information, and it's going to affect the outcome of our election. So we don't need Russia, we don't need China, we don't need Venezuela to interfere in our elections when they have far better elections than we do.
Yeah, and like you said, the media is supposed to be the people's guard dog.
Yeah.
Instead, the mainstream media has turned into be the elite's lapdog, and that's just a shame. Nay, thank you for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Now watch me.
I love Nay.
Now watch me, Nay. FYI, look up Robert Barnes on election integrity. I will definitely look up Robert Barnes. I'm always looking to meet new people in this business, and it's kind of funny because a lot of times people are spread out. They don't know each other, but there is a community of people. Like I said, if you were hanging out on the Rokfin chat today, there were some serious election integrity people in there talking some games, so you can get a lot of insight there. And if you do help us out on our Patreon, or if you send us something on PayPal, thank you so much. Also, Rokfin, if you subscribe to Rokfin, that helps us out as well, because it's growing this network that doesn't censor us, that doesn't put little labels underneath saying that the election results are being protected. You're protecting your results.
Yeah.
So that's very big. So you go over to Rokfin, sign up for free. If you can endorse for $9.99, we do appreciate it. We love it. Thank you so much. Johnny, anything else to get us out of here? Are we good? Go ahead, buddy. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't see any more super chat contributions. I want to make sure, just in case. Johnny's going to set up this next little playing us out.
So guys, like seriously, like if you haven't looked at our stuff on so far on election integrity, please make sure to just check it out. I'm gonna put it all on a playlist because I think we need to really we have so much on it. Like, but even just going back to the Bernie things, like I was looking over that the other day, like how we had broken down when you and Niko were here and when I was over there in Iowa and everything that happened in Iowa, and just like thinking that somehow, because when I argue with progressives, they're like, yeah, Bernie's, that was all true.
That was definitely rigged.
But not this, not Trump. There's no evidence. So what happened from Bernie and the evidence there? There was no evidence there too either by a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So what happened to change your mind? And the only thing that I can come up with that happened is the fact that you don't like Donald Trump. The fact that Donald Trump is a hateful guy and his rhetoric sucks, and he is, he's not my choice for president. But that is the only difference. And who shaped that thought? Who really pushed people to hate Trump? And not just him, his supporters. Now, his supporters have been hateful to me, have been hateful to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know. I've been covering these protests. I know the spin, the right-wing narrative on these protests. I know all these things. I can both understand that is wrong, and also understand that cheating is wrong no matter who does it. And that's something that I think we need to come to terms with, is cognitive dissonance of I hate Trump.
Yeah. By the way, somebody said that David Dole was election interfering from Canada. Johnny, what else you got?
Okay, so
love that one.
I'm just going to show us some of the memes that we've seen on Instagram here.
Mm-hmm.
They're relevant to our conversation here. So
we need more followers over there, by the way.
The first one is Democrats trying to address any problem. We've tried nothing, and we're all out of ideas. And that was Joe and Kamala there.
Yeah. Seize the memes.
Seize the memes. Good job. Palestinian kids finding out there will be a dog in the White House again.
Jesus. That's dark.
Here's one. We can't do that. We got to think of the oil and gas workers, and they were trying to build windmills and solar energy. We can't do that. We got to think of the house and buggy manufacturers when the Ford car came out. We can't do that. We got to think of the Morse code industry when the phone came out. We can't do that. We got to think of the candle makers when the light bulb came out. So it's just like there's always people who are stifling progress for profit.
You know something, Johnny, too? And that's something that really goes on. And that's what Donald Trump's rhetoric was when it comes to weapons. When he was talking about selling those weapons to Saudi Arabia, it's like, well, all these jobs they have in the weapon industry, we can't just let them go. It's like the coal argument. Like, yeah, we can find something else to do. We can let them go. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
So next one is it's a picture of a wolf in lamb's clothing.
Yeah.
And there's a little lamb here. Most diverse cabinet ever lives. And then the wolf inside is Biden's cabinet full of Wall Street lobbyists and warmongers.
Yeah,
and
no
then it
shit.
Says, here, you dumb fucks. Referring to all the people that voted for Biden. Okay. Now this one, we were talking about AP earlier. So it says President-elect Joe Biden is expected to take a historic step and select a woman to head the Pentagon for the first time. U.S. officials and political insiders regard Michelle Flourney as a top choice for the job. And then, so it has that little picture here. Someone said, more women, more war criminals. Clap, clap, clap. And this picture, you know, it says, they say the next one will be sent by a woman. Really makes you feel like you're part of history. Those are people in the Middle East, and there's drone strikes.
I know.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
true.
Susan Rice was awful. Condoleezza Rice was awful. Gina Haspel is awful.
Yep.
These are women. Gina Haspel was okay with torture, ladies and gentlemen. And, I mean, right now, it's just like, God damn. I mean, the identity politics.
Shout out to Cenk Uygur, who said, I don't like Rice, but she's better because she's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Seriously,
yeah.
he said that.
Yeah. Johnny?
Oh, yeah, and Glory and Comrade Misty were on there.
Yeah. No, of course. Go, comrades!
Sally behind. Vote blue no matter who. Folks, when Biden Harris bomb innocent people in other countries, don't provide us health care, Medicare for all, frack and pollute the water, air, imprison more black and brown people, deport immigrants, censor dissenting views, increase spying, cater to Wall Street, etc. La 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 la.
Have you guys ever seen that scene?
It's only evil when Trump does it.
Have you ever seen that scene, Johnny? I'm gonna
But
play
that's
la
the
la 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 la. I can't triple stamp a double stamp. I'm gonna just watch that scene now.
And
Don't
then
want to hear nothing.
This last one is interesting. So let me just go to it. So several nights ago, according to ACAT News, a few banners were hung over the freeway in L.A. and San Gabriel Valley containing the home address of Sheriff Villanueva. An activist close to the situation that wished to remain anonymous said that they are allowing gangs within their units and are intimidating protesters. So we thought we would show people where they live. Law enforcement has doxed protesters, so we wanted to show that they can be doxed too. And then LASD was unavailable for comment on the issue. But it looks like they... also here it says CHP issued a countywide broadcast of banners hung from freeway overpasses. Banners containing names and addresses of Los Angeles Sheriff Department deputies. Officers are not to destroy them, but to photograph them and notify the Sheriff Department.
Interesting. So trouble still brewing over there.
What do y'all think about that?
I mean, I am not against it if you feel like if people haven't listened to you, if you've tried to talk to your public officials, and if you've gone to their houses and protested and they're not listening to you,
accountability done.
It's better than burning somebody's house. It's better than rioting. I mean, I really, I'm not going to say I'm against it. I don't know what they're basing it on 100%, but
that's some LA shit.
People
That's
gonna
some
protest.
stupid bullshit.
Well, they're gangs in the fucking sheriff's department.
There are gangs in the sheriff's
And
department.
hanging up banners and stuff, just keep hanging them up. Look at this shit. Stupid. Go take them down yourselves, assholes. You know what I'm saying? They complain about all right, you're spray painting on the walls and stuff. Okay, so now you're not doing that. You're hanging up a banner that could be taken down, I mean.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, they're
So
going to try to
stupid.
prosecute people hardcore for that.
Whatever, dude. Let them catch them. Now we late at night, we're going to have banner hangers that are going to be like dressed up like, and you're going to hear the music. Don't. I mean, seriously.
I mean, there's a lot more things that the sheriff department could focus on, right?
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on protesters.
Shouldn't they be saying thank you? Thank you for not destroying property and just hanging
Right.
up a sign.
Right.
So now we can easily take it down. What are they going to do now? Now you're going to incite people to go really do some damage and put all right, well, now we're going to just use spray paint. There you go.
Yeah.
So stupid.
And I hope people continue, by the way, protesting against corruption in general until they get what they. Man, I hope it doesn't stop just because Joe Biden becomes president, right? That's the fear that Joe Biden is becoming president and people are going to go back to sleep. And I am seeing a lot of that. Sadly, I am seeing a lot of that, especially from my millennial generation that got screwed by the likes of the Obama-Biden administration. What the hell are you guys doing right now?
Yeah.
All right.
Johnny, anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that's a good show. It's almost 90 minutes. Thank you so much for joining in. It's a little bit over 90 minutes. We're going to get out of here. We'll be back on Friday, of course. Fee's got some videos dropping soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have some talks. I'm going to actually get on the horn with Tim Canova and talk about some of these cases, get an update from a lawyer who understands what's going on. We don't know. Really, to tell you the truth, we're still flying in the dark here. There's a lot of great evidence. I don't say great evidence, but firm,
big,
solid evidence, whatnot. I'm going to even ask him about, can it be used, the pattern analysis, can they be used in a court of law to kind of prove your case? We heard some news that in Michigan that they're refusing to certify one county. So this thing is up in the air, and whether it goes one way or the other, we got to continuously fight this because we have to move forward in a positive way where we can make some serious systemic changes to our election system. So we are be talking to a lot of people. We're supposed to have Whitney Webb coming on soon, talk about the AI machines and stuff. So we have a lot more things in the queue, ladies and gentlemen. So join on into the Convo Couch for Pasta Jardula.
Fiorella.
Jonny Sue on those 1s and 2s.
Convo out.